So, Justina, I wanted to start with this story because I just heard Dario on our newscast talk about Christine Fréchette's visit, of course, to France. I think this is, her second visit in not very long. And at one point, one of the issues that brought up was obviously this NATO Defense Bank that Montreal has been working real hard trying to convince a lot of people to help us with. And she did not get positive comments from Emmanuel Macron. So disappointing or expected?
Disappointing, Aaron. And here, there's a mistake here. There's a diplomatic faux pas that Christine Fréchette made. It's that when you raise expectation about, a given outcome, she said, I want to go and meet with Macron, and here's why. So she made us believe that she was going to receive a favorable response from Macron. And then when she didn't receive that, well, of course, it not only looks like a failure for her as a leader, but it makes us feel bad as Montrealers. Like, we wanted her, we were counting on her going and making a case for the NATO Defense Security and Resiliency Bank to be here in Montreal instead of in another Canadian city, and she didn't manage to do that. So it's not a good feeling. And here's the thing. When you go into a meeting like that, you don't leak what is going to be discussed unless you already have a confirmation that you're going to reach an agreement. So that was her diplomatic faux pas. If she didn't already have confirmation from Emmanuel Macron that he was going to be supporting Montreal, she shouldn't have mentioned it, because really he can't do that. It is up to our government. It's up to Mark Carney. They have to look at all of the cities that are wanting to have the NATO Defense Bank, which is, Montreal has competition. Toronto also would like to have the bank. Ottawa, Vancouver are in the race too. So there's no way that Macron was going to step in and advocate on behalf of one city over another. So I think this was a mistake for Fréchette. She shouldn't have made it public. And she also had, Aaron, another agenda going in, which was that she wanted to impress upon Quebecers her leadership because we know that there's an election coming up in the fall, and she thought that this trip would make her look good with Macron, but really she doesn't come out of it looking that good.
So, Justine, is this on her or is this on her staff?
It might be on her staff. You're right about that. Because it's, of course, these meetings aren't spontaneous. The conversations are not spontaneous. They're well prepared. People are briefed. The politicians are briefed before going into the meeting. They have an agenda about the points that are going to be up for discussion. And as I said, if you leak something to the press in advance of the conversation, or if she herself, Christine Fréchette herself, had mentioned that this was one of the things that she would be bringing to the discussion table, you would only normally do that if you know that there's something positive coming out of it. So there was it could be her staff that takes the blame for this.
Okay, so are we chalking this up to this is new role for her as premier? Although she is, she's a seasoned politician, you'd think perhaps she would have known this, but
I chalk it up to her confidence. She's been somebody who has had a phenomenal career, has gone from success to success. The leadership campaign almost seemed like a breeze for her. And I think that she has, since taking on the role of leader, right away being premier and then traveling, and I think she thought this would be easy. She's been to Washington. She had some good meetings there. She's been to Ottawa, had good meetings with Prime Minister Carney. And so I think she thought, I can go to France and have a great meeting there too. So maybe a bit of overconfidence on her part.
So you have a note here. This is kind of interesting. So today obviously is Victoria Day around the rest of the country, Journée des Patriotes here in Quebec. And the note says, how do we celebrate here in Quebec? Interesting meeting today between TALK, which, of course, is our own sort of Anglo rights group here. And who do they get together with?
Right. So we're talking to each other. So today is in Quebec the Patriots' Day as well as being Victoria Day. So it depends on who you want to celebrate. But last year there was a very interesting initiative on the part of the Mouvement National de Québécoises et Québécois, the MNQ. Their president, I think, had been going through some reflection over a number of years and thinking, the Mouvement National, it's not just for French speakers. It should really be for all Quebecers. And we really need to be talking to each other more. So he had reached out last year to what is now the TALQ and invited them to a celebratory meal so that everyone would sit around the same table and not talk about what separates us and what makes us different, but really the points that we have in common. And I think this idea arose from the fact that the Patriots also had English speakers as part of their group. And he wanted to emphasize that historical aspect of the coming together of the two communities. So there was supposed to be another dinner this year, by the way, but because of the Habs game tonight, it's been postponed.
Oh, okay. I thought this had already happened. Okay, so, but this was...
No.
Okay, this initiative was from going back last year.
Yeah, so
Okay.
last year was the first time that it happened, and I think it was I was in attendance as well because
okay.
I know the president very well, Frédéric Lapointe. He had invited members of the TALC, and it was sort of the first experiment with bringing these two communities that are often at odds with one another, especially over issues of language, culture, Quebec identity. What does that mean? These are essentially powerful lobbies, so they're often at loggerheads on these issues, and it was a nice initiative to bring them together last Patriots Day. And the reason I noted it is here we are again, Patriots Day, and there was supposed to be another dinner, but because of the Habs game, Aaron, that takes precedence. So it will happen, but not yet.
That takes precedence over everything. I want to go on to one thing. So you had a chance to ride the new REM line yesterday, right? What did you come across?
So yesterday I was riding the REM, and I didn't have a chance yet to take the new branch that goes out to, along the 40, out to L'Anse-à-Lorme and all that, out to Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue. I was riding the REM branch that goes up to two mountains, deux montagnes, which I often do. I had an errand to do. I had the full intention of riding it out to the West Island, and I will do that next week. But what I saw when I got off the REM, I was very surprised. There was a poster. There's a walkway at Pierrefonds Roxborough Station. There's a walkway into the neighborhood. And next to the walkway is an enormous poster sponsored by the government of Quebec. And it's reminding people that we're not going to be able to save the French language through advertising, that it's through speaking the language that will give it vitality and so on. But it's addressed to the citizens of Laval. So I don't know who made the decision to do that poster and put that poster there. I hope there aren't others around the REM stations in the rest of the West Island. But what a terrible faux pas from the government. I mean, we already feel like in the West Island, the Quebec government is a little bit out of touch with who West Islanders are.
A little, yeah.
Yeah. And then to see that and to have the message addressed to citizens of Laval is unbelievable. So I had to take a picture of it. I had to post it to Twitter, and it's getting a lot of response. Hopefully they'll correct it.
Say again, just for people who didn't understand, say again what it was and where it was.
At the Pierrefonds Roxborough REM station,
right
along the walkway, there's a walking path that's parallel to... it's a brand new path that takes people from the neighborhood up to the station.
Okay.
And it's an enormous poster that says it's not ads that are going to save the French language. It's you, the people of Laval.
In Kirkland?
In Roxborough.
In Roxborough.
Okay. In Roxborough, which is part of Pierrefonds, which is definitely part of the city of Montreal, and definitely not part of Laval.
Maybe we can blame that on the same person in the Premier's office who booked her to the meeting with Macron that she didn't know was going to go bad. Maybe the same person.
Might be that same person.
All right. Justine, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.